Hello my friends, I am Pride, and let me be the first to welcome you to Thrones of Britannia and the righteous return of epic fortresses and awesome siege gameplay. We are here at Dunnottar Castle, one of the most important fortifications in all of Scotland, and a perfect example of one of the bright spots in Thrones. Playing against Oakley High Def from Invicta, and this is a truly fantastic siege, so strap in ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a good time. This is a combined port assault, both of us playing Gaelic kingdoms. I am playing Mide, and Oakley is playing Circenn. Irish versus Scots. Let's get it kicked off on the open sea, where the Irish in the white and gold are heavily outnumbered by the boys in blue, both on land and at sea. But in this narrow channel near the edge of the map, the Scots can't bring their entire navy to bear, so we might get an opportunity to use our high-tier Marines and even up those numbers just a little bit before we finally fight for the castle. But the naval battle will begin in earnest here, as the Irish and Scottish Marines move up, and we've got some big, scary-looking ships slamming into each other, and our Marines will get into close quarters combat and start staining those waters red with the blood of their enemies. There's nothing particularly complex or strategic about the opening stages here, though. You take a big wooden ship with a lot of angry bearded men, slam it into another big wooden ship, board it, and hope you have the brute force and the martial skill required to kill them before they kill you. But the outcome of this naval battle is pretty important. Unlike many of the other Total War games in the series, naval units do fight at full strength, the same numbers as their landlubber counterparts. So if a full unit makes it to land, they'll be at full strength, they'll be just as dangerous as any other high-tier sword or axe formation. And given the fact that the besieged Irish are already outnumbered at the castle itself, they'll need to make good account of themselves in the naval battle, or the Black Blades and the Alban Axe warriors of the Scots will be able to disembark on land and cut a path right to the heart of the fortress. But we do have something lying in wait for them, a lot of javelin troops. They do make Mide pretty special in the fact that they can field some really powerful javs. And just look at that castle, man. It's absolutely gorgeous. We'll get a better look at it in a second here, but we'll focus on the naval fight for now, because this is the only combat that's going on. The rest of the siege towers are still wheeling into position. There's still a little bit of jankiness in terms of the naval combat. You will sometimes see Michael Jordan Space Jam jumps from one boat to another as the crossbows get some really good shots into the back of my own. Armor piercing on those crossbows, they can do a lot of damage to armored troops, especially if they shoot in from behind and don't hit those shields. But yeah, you'll see like Michael Jordan Space Jam dunks where they'll kind of like jump from 30, 40 feet, make it to the boat. There's a really hilarious part coming up that you'll see pretty soon. But other than that, we've got lots of combat going on right now. Just absolutely brutal. Tons of ships already buried under mounds of corpses and fallen silent. But still others continue their fight, trying desperately to protect that coastline. But I got something for them if they break through our blockade. Us Irish, we gotta band together, gotta prevent those dirty Scots from looting our land. Irony, of course, being that the Irish are actually defending a Scottish castle here. We are in Scotland. But we're gonna shift over. Look at this castle, by the way. Just gigantic. Tons of tactical variety. Exactly what I love seeing in Total War sieges. Many avenues of attack, changes in elevation, choke points giving way to open plazas, and plenty of room to maneuver. A lot of the stuff we've been missing from vanilla siege gameplay in Warhammer, and it's really nice to be able to get back to this kind of gameplay. Honestly, this is one of the cooler siege layouts I've seen in a Total War game in a very long time. People love Medieval 2 sieges, and it's understandable. Medieval 2 still holds up really nicely from a battle perspective, but I think the siege map layouts in Thrones, just the siege map layouts, are quite a bit more tactically interesting to play than some of the cookie cutter and super choke pointy designs from ages past. I think there will be a lot of comparisons made between the two in the coming days. After all, this is the closest we've gotten to Medieval 3 in more than a decade, but yeah, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Maps maketh massive battles, awesome ones, and at least from a map design perspective, there are some really damn good ones to choose from here. The naval fight for the Irish, not going very well. Their blood has stained the rivers red here, and their boats are falling silent as Michael Jordan jumps from one boat to the other, does a spin kick, does some Ninja Turtle ninja moves from one boat to the other, and yeah, we've been completely overrun, and one ship from this terrible melee is going to try to run the gauntlet here. You can see it now, pulling away from the rest of the fighting, and I'm going to try to make it get to land. It's got to run it through a gauntlet of 3 or 4 different ships, all pushing forward now, trying to get to the coastline, and then they'll try to cut their way through to the heart of Dunnottar Castle, and that will be an issue in and of itself because there is a pathway that leads directly from the coastline to the center of my capture point near the plaza at the top of the hill. So don't have any walls to protect or prevent the enemy from getting there, but we do have this one ship running the gauntlet now, trying desperately to make it to the coastline before the enemies do. And they've got a lot of ships hot on their pursuit, hot on their tail, but it looks like we've got the speed to get a little bit of a gap and make it all the way to the coast, disembark, and hopefully set up a shield wall before they're able to close in. That's some scary stuff right there, though. That I was surprised, actually, how badly I lost that naval fight. I have some really powerful swordsmen. So, a couple things that make Mide different than the other factions in the game. Mide has really powerful javelin troops, really cost-effective ones. They only cost 300 gold. Jabs are not expensive at all, but if you get rear shots off with them, you will absolutely eviscerate even high-tier infantry or cavalry. So that's super nice. But we also have some really powerful high-tier swordsmen. So we get some really good shield walls going, and they are actually going to beat me to the coastline here, and we will set up with the jabs and try to get some good shots in. Now, they don't have a lot of ammunition, so we have 3 units waiting. Don't want to put on fire at will. We want to wait, just hold on to that ammunition and make sure that every single shot we get is a good one into the flank or rear of the enemy swordsman. Don't want to be wasting any of our shots here. Don't have enough. So as we're outnumbered here, make sure they all disembark. And then once their shields are not facing our direction, we can get some really good shots off. And you can see like 30, 40 guys dropping a volley if you get a good one off. A couple shots coming in now and dropping off the side of the ship. And I think this is the part where things get pretty hilarious, because yeah, the ship decides to start pulling away, and now that's some 300 Rise of an Empire stuff right there, like Battle of Salamis, just over the top ridiculousness as all those Marines jump literally about 50 feet onto the coastline. Pretty sure that's a bug, not really sure what the hell was going on right there, but really funny to watch them do that. You remember that scene in Space Jam when Michael Jordan has like 5 Monstars on top of him and he tries to dunk from half court? Pretty much exactly what happened there. So we'll shift on over to the other side, and as the siege towers come in, we're going to get our guys up on the ramparts, make sure that we can hold back these tides of axemen and all these elite tier swordsmen who will be trying to scale the walls right now. We do have some arrow tower support. We do have a lot of troops in reserve here. We'll shift back over because we've still got more battle on the coastline. We'll go check on that siege tower stuff in a little bit here. But for now, shield wall holding strong as we try desperately. Outnumbered dramatically on this coastal battle here. We've only got 3 jabs and 1 infantry unit and 1 cav unit. That's it. 5 units holding back, I believe, 9 or 10 swordsmen and axemen that are all disembarking. So we're going to get a good charge here into the remnants of that first naval brigade. They got destroyed by those jab shots, and now with the charge, that should be enough to seal the deal there. My swordsmen holding on for now. Shield wall and shield wall just smashing into each other, trying to get some kind of purchase here on the coast. Kick them off, make sure those Scots can't get any further into the city. But shifting back over, you can see multiple siege towers getting wheeled up to the walls now, and our arrow towers providing some nice support. And every time they get a shot into the back, while those shields aren't facing the right way, they should be able to get quite a few kills. Won't show up on the final kill count, but they can definitely do a lot of damage for you. I remember in Attila, which is of course what this game is based on, there were times where those things could rack up easily like 300 kills in a battle. Not sure they're quite that powerful in this game, but they'll still be very useful. And our crappy wood spearmen and some of our axemen holding on for dear life as more and more of the elite scale the walls now. Shifting back over. More swordsmen from the coast, trying to get at my javelins, and the only way I'm going to be able to tie them down here is with my cavalry. This is not how you want to use cavalry in Thrones, not by a long shot. Cav is actually better than I thought it was going to be in some of the earlier builds. Cav was pretty weak. Cav can definitely make a big impact in Thrones, no question about it in this build. It can be pretty powerful, but still, dealing with infantry when they're full strength, not really how you want to use them, but I had to send them in there to give my jab some more time to fire. And my swordsmen are starting to get whittled down as more and more of these black blades and king's blades continue to get into melee. And my jabs are starting to run out of their ammunition as well. I maybe got one more volley left. And I can't remember. I don't think I ran completely out of ammo. There might have just been a micro mistake here. But they're going to get overrun. And yeah, they're going to have a very bad time. No armor, tiny shields, only rocking with a few little dirks. Very small daggers. and I don't expect they'll do particularly well in that engagement. My cavalry not doing well either, and this coastal fight is pretty much a disaster at this point. Got quite a few kills, wiped out 2 or 3 full units, but even with that, and with some of those routing units, the Scots now trying to retreat into my city, which I guess they have nowhere else to go. They can't run into the water. They're not going to kill themselves. They're not going to drown themselves. So I guess that is the most logical place to run. Yeah, we're going to lose that fight, and that will allow the remnants of the Scottish Navy to move further into the city once they've kind of regrouped and dealt with the rest of my javelin troops. Over here, though, my spearmen trying to hold on. This is not a good engagement for them, but they're meat shields. I don't really need them to do a lot of killing. I need them to hold so that my arrow towers can get more kills. But more and more of Oakley's troops keep wheeling up, getting ready to ascend those walls and just continue this overwhelming assault. Catapults are in the game, by the way. You might have seen them in my Siege of Dublin video a while back. Obviously, you've already seen the heavy siege towers. Not super historically accurate to sieges in this time period, I don't believe, but then when have we ever had sieges be historically accurate in Total War? Let's be honest, sitting outside a castle for a year while you try to make the enemy starve to death doesn't exactly make for riveting gameplay. It's the aggression, it's the bloodletting, it's the maneuvering that makes for fun battles, so I can forgive some anachronisms when it makes for a better game. The third stage of Circenn's assault has begun now, moving towards the main gate. You can see I've got 2 or 3 layers of defenses at that gate. As we push further inside the castle, you can see at that last ramp here, very, very impressive looking ramp. Look at the change in elevation in this map. It's crazy. We've got a last line of defense there to protect the final capture point and the final plaza. Now, Circenn is beginning to overwhelm me on this side of the battlefield as more and more troops stream through that broken gate. They're a pretty well-balanced faction. Lots of powerful, lightly armored swords, and I believe the only faction that can field crossbows in the game, which gives you some serious punching power against armored targets. You do not want to let those things sit around and shoot elites, or you will be in a world of pain. But right now, my Galoglass and my foreign warriors have engaged his Black Blades and his Axemen, and I'm trying my best to make sure that they can't push further inside. I want to give my cavalry some space for the charge, because my general's bodyguard is waiting nearby, but there's some support from range. A lot of archers, a lot of these lowland archers who can do, or maybe highland archers. High or low, whatever, either one. They can do a lot of damage from range. You don't want to let them shoot your gen. Cavalry, although it can do quite a bit of damage from the charge, can be very squishy. So you cannot let them get shot. Javelins, archers, any range unit, crossbows especially. Well, crossbows kill everything. They will really, really hurt you if you let them shoot. So, gotta keep them away. And they've actually, very cheeky move from Oakley there. He's just like, you know what? Yeah, you have stuff there. You have cavalry. You have Galoglass. You have two-handed axemen. I don't really care. I'm just gonna pull through and maybe do something a little bit cheeky here. So, I think he could have pushed further inside the city. I don't think that's what he's going for right now, though. Looks like he's lining up for a charge. And it might be a bad thing if they get a frontal charge into the front of my two-handed axemen. Now, axes, you would think, fantastic for killing cavalry, and it can be, but not off the charge. You're going to get punished pretty heavily if you let your two-handed shock troops get charged like that. So I moved some spearmen to block the charge, get those meat shields there, and more of those troops pulling through. Got to be careful of that oil, though. We haven't seen that in action yet, but there is oil at each gate, and that oil, like other Total War games, all the way back to Medieval 2, and certainly in Attila as well, Rome 2, any of them, it has always been absolutely brutal in siege battles. Can get a ton of kills, gotta be very cognizant of when you pull troops through those, because it'll hurt a lot. But that cavalry has not been long for this world. Did a lot of damage to it. Most of that unit is dead now. We got them pinned up against the cliff. They have nowhere to go. They'll try to get a charge in, but just a few remnants now. Not a very good charge because it's only 6 or 7 of them. And we'll finally shut that unit down, make sure they don't do any or too much damage to us. But more and more of Circenn's troops, the Scots, just overwhelming us here. Just pockets of resistance now. One last shield wall near the siege towers. You can see piles of bodies there in the background. I'm going to try to hold on for now, but there's not a whole lot left to be said here. We're going to have to retreat, or we're going to have to die to a man. And I'm one of those people that loves to pull back, and use as much of a city as possible. So after a couple more charges here from my general, not a very great one, he's kind of spread out there, we're going to want to disengage and think about a new place to fight, because that gate has been completely overwhelmed. But while that happens, more men are dying in droves under some scalding hot burning oil, which just, I can't even imagine a worse way to go than literally having just scalding oil poured on top of your head. Awful. If you don't die, you're going to be scarred for life, and that burning sensation is not going to go away anytime soon. But they're hacking at the gates with their axes, which is kind of weird. And as we look at this side, a two-headed axeman pulling away from the gate here. Those are the Galoglass, the foreign warriors. We want to make sure we hold on to them for the late game for sure, because they're shock troops. They can hit like a truck, especially if they run down that big ramp you saw near the plaza. And they'll get a real nice charge bonus down there. And we do have some archer support up top as well. And look at this. This is what I talk about when I'm saying tactical variety in a siege layout. So you can pull back through that very narrow choke point. You can fire on the attackers from above. Get some really nice shots down below. But the Navy, there are 3 units still chilling. They're going to think about pushing into the city pretty soon here. But for now, they're kind of focusing on the other sides of the battlefield. And it is pretty hard to micro. Remember, this is just 1v1. Look at how big this battle is, how spread out it is. Pretty hard to keep everything under control. But yeah, that attack will come pretty soon. We have pulled back away from the western gate. We want to make it to the safety of the plaza, but Oakley's being really aggressive right now, harrying us with cavalry and some of his light troops. And we're going to have to commit. We're going to have to kill him, or we're going to have to run away. And we can't really run away once we've already been engaged. Now, we do have an arrow tower above firing in. That will help. It's firing from really far away, so the accuracy probably not going to be amazing, but it's not in range of my archers yet either. And getting some good shots in from the flank with my archers from above. I believe you actually get additional damage too when you've got an altitude difference when you're above an enemy. At least in previous games. I believe certainly in Medieval 2, but I'm not sure about the other ones. If you're above an enemy unit and shoot in from above, you can do a lot more damage that way. So if we get some good shots in, that'd be real nice for us. Cavalry pulling through, and the oil. He has not fully captured it, and good night, sweet princes. That poor cavalry just burned to a man. I think he lost about half the unit there. Yeah, he lost a lot of cav to that burning oil. That's got to be frustrating. He didn't fully capture the gate, and that meant that the oil was still in my possession. Or if it wasn't, it could have been that my routing troops actually triggered the oil while he was running through. That could be it as well. I'm not actually, no, yeah, it looks like he has control of the gate. I think that was just really unlucky. I think my troops routed outside the castle, and at the exact same time as his oil poured down on my stuff, it ended up killing a lot of his stuff too. And it didn't matter to me because my stuff was already shattered. A lot of my units were already gone from the field, and he was killing like 3 dudes. So that's an absolutely awesome trade for me. Thank you very much, Sir Oakley. Appreciate it. But on this side, his axemen have finally hacked their way through the gate, which I guess, if you have axes, probably possible to cut through some of those gates. I mean, you probably ruin a lot of your weapons, but I don't know if they'd be able to be very effective in combat after that. But they've made it through, and now engaging some of my lighter tier swords. And they're going to be in the fight for their lives here because there are a lot of enemies continuously streaming through. And now some more black blades wheeling up. And they're a problem. They're a problem for pretty much all the infantry left in the field except maybe my Galoglass. But what are they doing? No, Oakley, what are you doing, man? They weren't ready. No, that was awful. Oh my god, he just lost 80 men going through that without having capped it already. Yeah, I don't think Oakley was aware that oil was on these gates. And yeah, that's pretty painful. Those black blades just lost half their number going through. That's horrible. And archers trading fire with the crossbows outside. Now, crossbows, fantastic for killing armored troops. Not as effective in a skirmish fight. And I do have the advantage of being above, which means I should be able to get better shots in. But so far, I haven't done very much damage to his crossbows, and he is shooting directly into the front of my shield walls. Still getting some kills. The light infantry taking some serious damage as those shots getting arced over the top of the wall, hitting them. Now, I'm not 100% sure what Black Blades refers to for the Kirkin troops. I think it might refer to the Skian Do. It's a Gaelic knife that is concealed under the armpit or along the leg for use in like self-defense or basically just murdering the crap out of an unsuspecting rival. Basically just a little knife that you could conceal and hide from any enemies or anyone that wouldn't be able to know that you had it. But if anyone knows if that's what it's referring to or something else, please let me know in the comment section below. Would love to know what the actual historical idea behind the Black Blades is. It's all I could think of, but it might be something else. But yeah, now he's pushing through all the way down that very narrow choke point and moving towards that final capture point. We're not going to be fighting over the actual final capture point. I want to defend this ramp here because it gives me the best terrain on the entire map. I mean, why go back all the way to the plaza when I'm not going to get unbreakable bonus there? That is one thing I missed from earlier sieges. As unrealistic as it is in Medieval 2, having unbreakable in that final plaza gives the defenders a really nice advantage there. And I think it is fun. Like, it's just fun to be able to make a final stand and not have that mass rout, not have the army losses kick in. And we're not going to be able to do that, so if I can't use that for unbreakable morale, might as well fight where I have the biggest advantage, which is on that big ramp. And we have another ramp right here that we can defend. I'm not sure Oakley's going to want to take that fight just yet. If I was him, I would wait, make sure I break through the other sides, the other gate first, and then try to surround those shield walls. And I think that's what he's going to do here. We're going to shift back over into the center of the plaza, center of the capture point, and then look at this final gate battle here where I'm being completely overwhelmed and overrun. And things are starting to look pretty rough for me. That's more a little bit in Oakley's favor, but so far it's been pretty even, actually. Very even. Even with the losses from the oil and a couple instances where he probably shouldn't have lost that many troops, he still has a lot of troops on the field, and that is because he has more money. Remember, attackers in Total War will always get more funds than defenders in terms of a siege battle. Will he do it again? Is he gonna do it again? Yep. Poor guy, man. Oakley. He had no idea. I don't think I did either, honestly. Or maybe I did. We were in, yeah, you know what? We were in, not TeamSpeak. We were in Discord. And a couple times I giggled and I didn't tell him what the deal was, because I did actually see it a couple times and just said, yeah, I'm not going to tell him. Why does it matter? Just keep running through. I think on that last one I was like, yeah, dude, you know you keep killing yourself on some of those running through the gates there. But he's still okay. I mean, even with all that, he still has a ton of infantry on the field. I have no idea what my archers are doing right now. They have perfect line of sight to fire into the back of his infantry, and they're just not firing. But they looked like they were about to. And I have not shown these guys yet. We've got some Irish wolfhounds on the field. Dogs are weird in Total War. They've always been weird. They're great against missile cavalry if they can catch them, which in most Total War games they can. I believe they can here as well. Although you don't have many horse archers, you just have Jav Cav. But they're great against archers. They're great against missile cavalry. But besides that, not a whole lot of uses. They're not going to do anything against infantry, really. I guess they can be useful in a cav fight too, but miss micro here, and a couple of my poor doggos are gonna go down. Feels bad. This dude's gonna get his wrist broken and then stabbed in the face. Slash. Oh, when the blood pack comes out, that head would have gone flying. I don't know how they're gonna handle the blood pack for this game, honestly. Probably be its own standalone thing. We'll find out soon enough, I guess. Not too long after launch, I'd imagine. But yeah, they're gonna pull away, and I need to get them back up to the top of that ramp and allow them to just get unleashed in a more opportune time. Because right now, things are not opportune. The infantry is facing my direction, and they're getting ready to make that final ascent towards the last part of this battle. We've used a lot of the settlement so far. Archers being run down by his general, his cavalry unit. Not much left. I think that might have been, yeah, that was the cavalry unit that lost a lot to the oil. And just the remnants of this high-tier sword. And besides that, pretty much nothing left at this gate. And Oakley will overwhelm it and finally, after a lot of fierce fighting, capture it. But the battle's not over yet, because we still have one last final ascent to make for Circenn and the Scots if they want to take this very important castle back from the Irish. We've got light infantry in the front. We've got my general in the back ready to support, but I'm not sure cavalry would be very useful in this fight. It's not a very narrow choke point, but still getting cavalry in and behind the enemy gonna be hard. And even then, if I get a charge uphill, not gonna be that great. So the final assault has begun now. We got our light infantry ready to absorb the charge from the Black Blades, from the King's Blades, and from the Axemen that are still around. And Oakley being very smart, sending in the really unimportant stuff first. The catapult crew. And they're just going to be meat shields. Feel really bad for them. They're not designed for close quarters combat. But those guys are. A lot of shield walls getting ready. And it's going to be fierce fighting. This is it. This is the end right here. Whoever wins this engagement is going to win the battle. Oakley should be able to push through. He will get to the capture point and win the day. If we can hold back the tides of the Scots here, we'll be able to take it and defend our castle once and for all. Spear wall getting ready to absorb the charge, but they will not win this fight. They're about as cheap as spearmen come. Really crappy, but they can hold for a bit at least. While this unit, these light swords, hold on. He is charging uphill, which will give us some advantage. I didn't countercharge there. I don't know if there's an advantage to do it or just sitting in shield wall, to be honest. I don't know what the stat difference is. I know that these swordsmen don't have very high charge bonus, so... But still, though, downhill charge might have been really nice. It might have been better to countercharge there. Sent some of my dogs in. He sent some of his artillery crew in and behind my spear wall. And they were trying to do a little bit of flanking there. Very cheeky little move from Oakley. Didn't do a whole lot. But I sent in my dogs. They're not going to do very well in that fight. But I still have 2 units of Galaglass in the back. Ready to charge downhill. Ready to turn the fight in my favor. Those are not the Galaglass. Those are, I believe, Javs that have run out of their ammunition. But the Galaglass are a bit of a historical anachronism. Not sure we have any record of them until like the 13th or 14th centuries. But the idea itself still fits perfectly within the time period of this game, obviously. It's basically just a warrior of Gaelic descent kicked out of Scotland. They seek employment elsewhere, and they head to Ireland to serve the lords there. So that's the whole idea. They're a foreign warrior with a common background and language to the Irish, and they're being used by the Irish here to defend a very important castle. But 3 of the general's bodyguard managed to shoot the gap there and going for a sneaky cap. Oakley has always been a sneaky player, and that's what he's going for right now. We'll check on that in a second here. The shield wall holding for now, but the battle is getting so fierce at this point. And the Galaglass getting ready to wind up for a really important charge. If they can get a downhill charge into some of these important sword units, they could turn the tide. If not, Oakley might take it. Ballantyre still dead even, and we're like 28 minutes into this replay. I love awesome siege maps like this, dude. It makes for such better battles, and you've seen it here. It's been a blast so far, and the ending's going to get even crazier. Galaglass winding up for that charge. Beautiful downhill charge. Waited until my spear wall broke, and then we got it in. Will that be enough to shatter the center? They're the highest tier troops that Mide can field, that the Irish can field, besides maybe their Erig swordsmen. Yeah, I think the swordsmen might be a little bit higher too. They're 1,000. I think these are 850. But they're shock troops. They're not quite the level of Huskarls, the top tier 3 Huskarls, but they can kick some serious ass with a downhill charge. Got a lot of kills there. And Oakley's still trying to pull away. He's pulling my general away from this fight, where I really need him in this main central engagement. And yeah, that was very smart of him, because it's only 3 guys. Like, they don't matter, but I have to deal with it and make sure they can't cap my capture point. And it's looking a little bit rough right now. There's a lot of blue on the field. They've broken through on the left flank. In the center, Galaglass still holding strong for now, but as the flanks buckle, my cavalry needs to get committed. Really terrible downhill charge. I have absolutely no idea what they were smoking as they decided to get that downhill charge. I mean, like 3 of them even made it into contact with the enemy. The rest of them were kind of just floating. I don't even know what they were doing. They're going down to crossbow bolts, and this is a disaster. It was so close. I thought we had it. I thought we could pull it out, and we just won't be able to at the end of the day. Circenn and the Scots will be able to take their castle back. We'll be pushed back and pretty much killed to a man. Only a handful will be able to pull away here. And as they slink back to Ireland, the Scots, the Picts of Circenn, will take back Dunnottar Castle, and they will be the victors. And we'll zoom out here and get one last beautiful look of the battlefield. Just an awesome, awesome siege map. One of the coolest I've seen from CA in a really long time. And I'm saying, honestly, Thrones of Britannia, if there are some good things about the game, there's some bad things. There are things that we'll discuss as we move forward. But overall, the maps themselves, the siege maps, are highlight of the game for sure. They are really fun to play. Look at some of the kills on this stuff, man. There are some insanely high kill counts in this game. 106 kills on my General's Bodyguard, 228 on some of my Gallo-Glass and Foreign Warriors, 279 on my Swordsman. A lot of these units over 100 kills. And then as we shift over and look at Oakley's stuff, what were his top killers? Swordsman with 235, 224, Axeman 144, 119, 253, 243. Catapults didn't do a whole lot, but yeah. Really fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed this look at siege battles in Thrones of Britannia. There will be more content coming from this very soon. I'll see you next time. Indie Pride, signing out for now.